Welcome to Hydra Haley, where every day is a challenge, so let's embrace it. Today I hope you have your coffee ready because you're gonna probably need it. Today we're going to talk about school and how schools in Australia and New Zealand were very different, and saying that every school is different. The first 10 years of my life I was living in Australia, and during those 10 years I went to school there. I went to two schools in Australia. The first school was Mount Isa Christian College. I don't remember much about that school, but I do remember not fitting in and not really learning or understanding anything. So when they pulled me out of Mount Isa Christian College, Mum and Dad put me into Townview State School, which was the best decision they could have ever made for my schooling in Australia. And the school made it very easy for me, and they had a program fit just for me. And so there would be a teacher aide coming in to my classroom and helping me with maths and some reading, but then there was a special education unit which I called SEU, and it's a lot better saying SEU instead of special education unit. So in SEU I was also taught maths and reading at my own level, because when I was in the classrooms before I had a teacher aide, I would sit back at the end of the classroom thinking, what is she talking about? I don't know how to do those kind of subtractions of, see, I didn't even know what the words are now. So and I just wasn't learning anything, and my friend who was sitting next to me kind of actually did do some of my schoolwork. So yeah, it was all thanks to the SEU that helped me also gain confidence in a lot of things, like hand coordination and road safety, and all these little things are very important to me. And like other people who don't have a disability will just go on and do it because they know it's easy for them, but actually to have someone help me was just amazing. And Mr. Miller, who was our teacher in SEU, he was amazing. He knew exactly what each student in that classroom was learning, and he made it easier for us to understand. In Australia we found that, well, my mum and dad found that I got funding a lot easier than in New Zealand, and I'll get to that in a minute. Basically, I don't know how the funding system works in Australia, but I got the help that I needed, and I am so grateful. It's just so awesome for people like me to have someone who has the confidence in me and say, you can do this. It's okay, I will help you along the way, but you can do this. And that's through all my schooling. That's all I got, and that was so amazing. So schooling in New Zealand was very different to schooling in Australia. My mum and dad found it very hard to find funding for me and to get a teacher aide. So when we moved to New Zealand in 2002, I think, I've got that right, my mum put me into a school called Cornerstone Christian School, and at the time my auntie Liz was actually a teacher aide there. So in my classroom she would come in and help me and help me understand things, because it also made it a lot easier having Auntie Liz there, because it felt comfortable, and yeah, it was just awesome to spend time with her. When it came to maths though, I went to a year 3 school, a year 3 aged group, so that was like years 8 and children 8 9, I think that's how old they are. I don't know. So it's been a long time since I've been at school, and I was taught maths in that classroom because that was where my maths level was at. My mum and dad moved to Hamilton the year after I had finished Cornerstone because they needed to start their own business, and they put me in Hamilton Christian School, and immediately they took me out because I wasn't learning anything. I didn't have a teacher aide. It was just, I found it really hard to concentrate. Like if I saw a teacher writing on the board, she'd want us to write it all down as well, but by the time I had finished, she had moved on to something else, and it was just really confusing. So Mum and Dad pulled me out of that school, and I was homeschooled for years 7 and 8. And my Auntie Liz came up and taught me while I was homeschooled. And actually during homeschooling it was really good because it actually helped me get my grades up just a smidge, because I really wanted to go to high school. And I actually learned a lot more at homeschool than I did at any school, because you know, you take the time to learn, and it's just so cool. Coffee break. So moving on to high school, in 2005 I went to Tauranga to have an interview with my school that I went to, which was called Bethlehem College. If you haven't seen my vlog from 2-3 weeks ago, you'll see that I posted a vlog that had my school in it, so go and check that out and you can have a look where I went to school. I got accepted into Bethlehem College, and I started in 2006 and finished school in 2010. And if you think about it, 5 years isn't long, but during that time I have met so many good people, I have teachers who are my friends now, and it is just amazing. It's amazing to hear people say to you, Hayley, you can do this. I'm not giving up on you. You can do this. As hard as that may be, as thinking of that like a child or a teenager with a disability, you are kind of going the wrong way about it, because you're not giving yourself the credit to actually say, you can do this. And so I had a lovely teacher aide, and she's my friend now, called Mrs. Welsh, and her husband, Mr. Welsh, was my Year 9 teacher, and they are lovely people, lovely people, and they really understood and still understand me to a T. And it's just amazing that they had faith in me and they never gave up on me. But during school, you know, as I've said in my bullying video, I found it really hard to make friends. My school friends, we are still together, we are still friends, and it's just amazing to just have that connection. I would highly recommend not giving up on school, because that's an education, and even though you might find it hard to understand, you can understand at your own level. People just have to give you patience and understanding, and you will get there. I have a story to tell you. When I finished school, my last day of school, we have a guard of honor, and it's kind of like a special thing where all the senior students walk down the path to the chapel of the school, and it's a really pretty place to walk down. And I was crying, my mum was crying, and I said to my mum, how can this be over? I mean, like, my school years are done. What do I do now? You know, and it's just such a proud moment and a proud feeling to say, woohoo, school's done. But at the same time, it's a sad thing because it's an end of an era, and you have to move on to adulthood, which is a very scary thing. But you will have help along the way, I promise you. Which school? Public or private? I've been to both. Private generally don't have sufficient resources for children with special needs. Public. Does it have an SEU? Will teacher aides be made available for my child? What resources and experiences do they have to work with a child like mine? Primary. Public schools will connect your child to the external help that they need. Private often don't. High school. Decide what you want for your child. Private, more often than not, are more suited to the academic student than to a child with different abilities. For my parents, the choice was more about their intentions of what I would learn. They decided I wasn't going to be a rocket scientist. I was always going to struggle with making friends. My parents thought that I would be slaughtered and bullied at a normal high school. Their final decision was to put me in a private Christian school where I would be nurtured and cared for. They found this by looking at a lot of schools. The one they chose stood out as having high morals and a nurturing environment. I am now 26 and I am still in contact with 2 of my teachers. Their choice proved perfect for me. No matter what you choose, always look at your child's needs and don't enroll until you find what's best for them. I came to love high school, and high school played a big part in my morals and values that I have today. Thank you for watching Hydra Haley. I hope you enjoyed this video about school and my experiences with how I coped with school and how the funding was different between Australia and New Zealand. If you have any suggestions for videos, please don't be afraid to write them down in the comments below. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, my bullying and anxiety video, they helped me a lot with school too, so don't hesitate to look at them. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!